So I need to be completely clear that I'm an utter coward. I'm the sort of person who absolutely hates an argument. I don't like confrontation. I do not enjoy the heated exchange of aggressive views. If people start shouting, I tend to start shaking and lose the plot and not be able to come up with an answer, like a rabbit in headlights. If I think I've upset somebody, I lie awake all night worrying about having been thoughtless or selfish. I beat myself up. I'm the person that says sorry when somebody else stands on my toe. Not because I'm a really nice person, because I just am a bit of a wimp. And I don't tend to see when actually somebody else might have been a bit more out of order than I was, and maybe they should be saying sorry to me. I, I'm a wimp. I'm a coward. I don't like arguments. Point number one. Point number two, I am not, have never been an anti-vaxxer or against the benefits of conventional medicine. Having been there when, Doug was rolling around in agony in the middle of the night and been so thankful when they whisked him off, blue lighted him to hospital and were doing all the tests and gave him morphine and were checking his heart rate. I was so thankful that we have a health service that will pick you up in your moment of dire need and help you. You're in safe hands. Boy, was I thankful for that. And I'm thankful for so many doctors over the years that have helped me and my family. I don't believe that that's the be-all and end-all and that we just want disease management. There might be more to health than just, disease management, but I am really, really grateful for our health service. That's my point number two. And I am not an anti-vaxxer. I've always had vaccinations. My children have had them. I've never particularly questioned it. So that's not what this is about. What I want to make clear is that I do not want to be the loony person who is voicing unfounded opinions based on hearsay, based on wacko sites on the internet where she's got these crazy ideas that she's buying into and she's just a nutter. I've heard all of that from my children, who will be mortified that I am here saying this and will die 1,000 deaths. I do not want to have to even think about the idea of my family, my friends, ex-colleagues, people I currently work with, people I like and respect and who I want to respect me and not laugh at me or not take the moral high ground with me where they're going to tell me that I am a selfish, deluded individual who is not doing the right thing for the good of us all and not pulling together in this great national effort, which is how we all get out of COVID and get our lives back. I just don't want to be that person. That's not me. However, what I have to say is I have sat quietly for 14 months while this has been going on, and I have watched and I have listened and I have observed. We've all had incredibly different experiences of this pandemic. Also, there are a vast number of voices and opinions and data, and of course the narrative that we're given is don't listen to all this fringe stuff, all these crazy loonies and these wackos. Focus on the facts about vaccinations and how they help, and the facts about who dies and who doesn't, and what we all need to do, because we've all got to pull together to do the right thing and be safe. What bothers me about that is that anybody now, like me, who dares to voice a little bit of dissent or just say, hang on a second, could I just ask a question here, is at best ridiculed, at worst sidelined or crushed or, utterly dismissed in a very superior way as a selfish, ignorant individual who doesn't have the interests of us all at heart. I'm really well aware of that, and I've watched that. And I've also watched while, apparently, some terrible things have gone on as a direct result of COVID. I am not a COVID denier. I'm not saying people haven't died of this illness, which is very serious. That's not what I want to talk about, nor do I want to talk about the ins and outs of vaccines. But what I do feel is, as a human being who sat and watched and listened and done quite a lot of reading and research, I would just say this. Number one, I think we all owe it to ourselves to do a bit of research beyond the mainstream media so that we just get a sense of the breadth of opinion that is out there. Many of those voices are not loonies. They might turn out to be wrong. They may turn out to be misguided. But why are we not having an open discussion? Why are we not allowed to honestly and genuinely debate these things? That's my first question. Secondly, what I have to say is that having sat with this, tortured myself and bitten my tongue 100 times, what I feel is it is time. Hilary Dancing, you big fat coward, it is time for me to just make my own personal little stand and take whatever shit comes my way as a result. But I need to voice openly the fact that I am not convinced by any of this. I do not buy into the collective narrative that we are being fed at the moment. And I am worried, I'm really worried that over the last 14 months, we as a society have been gently shepherded because we've been so fearful. I was terrified last March. I thought we were all going to be, stepping over bodies in the street. Possibly mine would be one of them. Through that fear, we have been gently and subtly, but persistently reconditioned into a whole different way of being. Now, maybe everyone will get vaccinated and we'll all get our lives back and it will all go back to normal. And wouldn't that be marvellous? Maybe. And, if that is so, please be kind to me when that happens. Don't all come banging on my door to say, you stupid woman, look what an idiot you were. Because I know I've thought about that 100 times. What a twat I will look if I've come out and said this and I was the loony that bought into the fringe arguments. I've got to a point where I feel so concerned inside that I feel I just have to make my little stand so I can look myself in the mirror in the morning, but also so that should the worst happen and a few years from now we all find ourselves in a future that is not what we hoped for, where the worst has happened, I need to also be able to know inside of myself that I did say what I did, make a stand. I didn't just meekly stand by in mute silence while all of this happened and we all slipped down the slope. Because it never happens in big leaps. You don't just wake up one morning and find that you live in a totalitarian society. It never works like that. It's a case of, it's just little steps, little steps, little steps. Now, maybe that's not what's happening. I sincerely hope it isn't. But I do know that this is how it does happen when it happens. And I also know that if that is what's happening, if we are all being kept blind, kept compliant, kept ignorant, and shepherded in the direction that a bigger power wants us to go, because we're also scared that we're clutching at the only straws of hope that we're being offered in order to get back our lives as we know them. If that is what's happening, the only thing that will help us is if we start having these discussions with each other, if we start exploring, if we start looking a little bit more broadly and thinking about what's going on, and then we come together. We need to help each other. We need to look out for each other. We need to become community again. We need to love each other. We need to stand with each other and stand up for each other. And, I know some of you believe that that's what we're doing by all going and getting vaccinated. Maybe you're right. All I can say is, and I'm not going to get into data and facts and arguments because I don't think it's ever possible to arrive at a definitive answer. Once you start opening up the floodgates of that, it just goes round in circles. It's just a never-ending locking of horns. I don't want to get into that with anybody. That's why I just won't engage in that. Not because I'm unwilling to be proved wrong. Time alone will show us what's right. I just need to voice my feelings, which are so strong that I don't feel I have a choice anymore. And I need to take the consequences, which will probably cost me sleep, which will probably cause me distress, which will probably upset a lot of people that I know and love and care about and make them angry and indignant, and I won't enjoy it one little bit. But I feel that I have no choice now but just to say, this is what I believe, and I'm going to have to stand by it and take the consequences, because I cannot remain silent, and I feel I have to let you know that this is my considered opinion, and I'm sharing it mainly for myself to know that I am not governed by fear, even though I am afraid. I will not be cowed by fear into a small box and kept in the dark, curled up tight. I have to step out. But also, if one of you is dithering about wondering, then maybe this will give you the strength and the courage to take a step out of your box and stand up straight too, whatever that means for you, to stand up and be true to you, and may it give you courage for the journey.